Call to order. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have an advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public body by which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Augusta, Branchville, Lafayette, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald Star Ledger and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Mission statement: High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Mrs. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Encliffe.
Here.
Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Mr. Kehoe.
Present.
Ms. Keimer.
Here.
Mr. Morangi.
Here.
Mr. Miller is not here. Mr. Dona.
Here.
Mr. Bewley.
Here.
Dr. Ripley.
Here.
And we have Mr. Silvestro.
Okay. Executive session. A motion will be made the High Point Regional High School Board of Education or executive session to provide an update on personnel, legal, and negotiations items which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Any discussions held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public when appropriate. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session in the cafeteria annex at the conclusion of the executive session. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I have a motion to return to public session. Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not typical for the board attorney to start a meeting, but I have to do so tonight. Some news for the board. The board president, Kyle Feely, and the board vice president, Todd Miller, have both resigned effective immediately. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is here open it up to the board for nominations for board president. Once a board president is selected from amongst the members, then we'll have a motion for a new vice president. And once that's been taken care of, we'll continue with the meeting as scheduled. Do I have any nominations for board president?
I'd like to nominate someone. I'd like to nominate Bill Kehoe.
Are there any other nominations?
No. I'd like to nominate Lisa.
No.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, we're going to have a roll call now on the nominations.
So I'm going to go down the list and you tell me Wayne Dunn or Bill Kehoe. Ms. Keimer.
Wayne.
Mr. Dona.
Bill Kehoe.
Mr. Kehoe. Abstain. Mr. Dunn. Mr. Morangi. Bill Kehoe. Mr. Ancliffe. Bill Kehoe. Ms. Anderson.
Wayne Dunn.
Mr. Kehoe, any reconsideration on your own vote?
I'll vote for myself.
Mr. Kehoe's choosing to vote for himself. Mr. Kehoe is now board president.
Yeah, go sit up there so they can tell you what
All right, the next matter we're going to have is opening up nominations for vice president. Do we have a nomination for vice president?
I nominate Gail Sedona.
Do we have any other nominations?
I nominate you, Doug.
Any other nominations? A motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second.
Will you take the vote?
So I'll roll call again and to say Mr. Dunn or Mr. Dunn. Ms. Conner?
Wait.
Mr. Dunn?
Abstain.
Mr. Kehoe?
Gail Tadona?
Mr. Dunn? Wayne Dunn. Mr. Rangi? Gail Tadona. Mr. Rancourt?
Wayne Dunn.
Ms. Anderson?
Gail Sedona.
Mr. Dona, any chance you'd like to not? Just make clear for the board, it is not an ethical violation to vote for yourself or who else.
All right. I'll vote for myself.
The vote, Jim?
Mr. Dona for Mr. Dunn 3.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. For tonight. I'll stay here for tonight. All right. Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to return to public session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we're in public session. First, I want to motion to approve the minutes of the prior meeting. Do we need a motion?
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we're going to start with the public comments.
Wayne, oh yes. Not Wayne. Bill, Seamus had asked if the student council rep could do her presentation first and then we go to public comments. So,
If the public doesn't mind, we'd like to let the student rep go first, if that's okay.
Take the microphone.
Hi, I'd like to apologize for my appearance. I just came from a lacrosse game. So for student council, we just had a huge success with our winter pep rally. Some games to start off the students with. We had our sack race, musical chairs, tug of war, and we had our annual pie in the face, and Mr. Van Orden was the winning administrator for that. And then we previewed 10 minutes of our first ever faculty versus students basketball game. And later that night, we had the full game, which hopefully will become an annual event now. And it was a huge success, and after expenses, and each class was reimbursed with what they spent for the night, the remaining $686.40 went to Project Grad for the seniors. And that'll keep happening each year as we have it. And then coming up, we have our annual Glow Dance, which is run by the junior class. That'll happen in April. And that's what we have going on right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I apologize. No, we're going to public comment.
Okay, gotcha.
And then we'll go back after the public comment. It might be a little while. All right, with public comment, we'll go to public comment. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, we'll open the public comments for agenda items only at this point. Each speaker shall have present your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. I'm supposed to time you. Please try to keep it around 3 minutes, everybody. And we will limit the section to no longer than 45 minutes. If it goes 45 minutes past that, we've got a lot of other business on the plate. I hope you don't want to limit it at that point in time. So with that, please be respectful. Be mindful of your comments can be heard. There's no reason for that. Let's all be professional, all right? Thank you. With that, would you name your...
Bill Gettler, 98 Gemmer Road, Wattage.
Thank you, Mr. Gettler.
If I'm reading your agenda correctly, it includes a $280,000 tax increase. We need a reduction. At least 20 times Mr. Ripley's atrocious salary increase, if not another $1 million. There is no excuse for a tax increase if you can give him a $30,000 increase. Median income in Sussex County is around $50,000. That includes Sparta. It's not Wantage, it's not Sussex Borough. He got 2/3 of a year's salary for a normal resident. It's time we undo everything Veely did. And one of them is get rid of Ripley. Yesterday I hand-delivered to the board office a letter to Mr. Veely requesting that I be given permission to rebuttal Wayne Dunn's charts, ridiculous charts that he gave out at the last meeting. I do not see it on the agenda. Bill, I'd like to know, can I be allowed time to rebuttal these ridiculous charts that were given out presented last month?
Mr. Gettler, may I ask you to do it at the next meeting so we can have time to prepare it? I haven't seen it, your proposal, and we'd like to make sure both everybody here has a chance to do it and you get a proper chance to do it.
What I have done is I've marked the charts up. I'd like to review them and give them to you.
Well, you still have a little more time if you want to do
Well,
it at the time.
it's going to take more than 3 minutes.
Well,
It's not on the agenda. Can I do it at the end of the meeting?
You can do it at the end of the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for getting rid of you. Now we're going to work.
Hi, Krista Mikulski, Montague. I went back and forth on coming to this meeting tonight. Back and forth because I made sure my daughter would not have to attend this school. And there was a time that all I wanted was for her to be a student here. Also, I don't pay taxes to this district, but I would be remiss if I didn't come and stand before this board to share my disdain for your ability to stick your head in the sand, align yourself with a dishonest man, and not take care of your students first. How does this board, with good conscience, continue to support that a man that is dishonest, corrupt, and becomes unhinged when challenged? His lack of professionalism is no doubt filtering down to the level of the students. I want to share an email that Mr. Ripley sent to Mr. Capone at Montague Elementary School. This was around scheduling a meeting. It was dated February 22nd. The subject was March 6th. Mr. Ripley, Carol Estarza, Neil Kramer, George Hagel, HP Gmail, John Talamay, and Rosalie Lamonte were copied. Mr. Capone, whether it is today or someday in the future, the prevaricator will reap that which he sows. Character once overcame the machinations of the unjust. Perhaps the world now demurs to your methods of intimidation, and if so, we are all sullied. Does everyone support this insanity? Are you even aware of the way this man does business? In the real world, Scott Ripley would be unemployed. If you all give him a raise for taking care of your teachers. I started this statement by saying that my daughter would not be coming to this school, and because of what I have learned over the past 2 years, I have been sharing with other parents in Montague. 90% of my daughter's highest performing students in her class chose Sussex Tech. we are not coming to this school. That results in about $200,000 of lost revenue and add in the $480,000 from the state. Scott's big words and your unshakable faith cannot fix that loss. I will continue to share what I know about Scott to deter anyone from coming to the school. All I can say is I hope the voters mirror what Montague did years ago and wipes this board out. Lastly, most of this message was addressed to this inept board, but I'll end my statement with this. Scott, God don't like ugly, and you're as ugly as they come.
Hi, my address is 28 High Ridge Lane, Augusta, New Jersey. I'm a student at High Point, and I just wanted to point.
Your name? I'm sorry.
Oh, Ezra Green. I just wanted to talk on behalf of some students who have concerns, being that Scott Ripley got a $33,000 raise, and there are situations that aren't being taken care of, like such as the aides being cut part-time, and it's just not right. It's not just, and I think that I don't know what Scott Ripley does. I don't know what his job exactly is. I haven't been made aware of what it is, and I don't think he's doing a good job with whatever that job is. Because if we're being targeted, specifically Jewish people, in a county where there aren't many Jewish people and there are being anti-bias attacks, and Scott Ripley hasn't come forward to say anything against that, then I think there's a problem there, and I feel like he would be doing a better job of his position if he actually pretended to care about us and pretended to care about other students instead of his job. I just don't think that he's doing an adequate job of whatever his job should be in protecting not only the students from anti-bias attacks, but also the teachers from their jobs being diminished and their wages being sorely cut and them losing their benefits and health care. And I just think that he doesn't see what I see when he looks into the eyes of these students. I think that he doesn't see that these people are so full of love. They're so full of potential, but he's stripping that away. He's taking that away from them when he cuts these jobs, when he takes away from these students who have so much love and potential in them. And it's just a shame because I go to school every day, I see these people, I interact with them, especially in the special education classes, and I'm looking at him right now and he does not have a look of remorse in his face whatsoever for what he does to these special education students. And he takes away from their quality of education, and I think that is definitely a mistake. And that's all I really have to say.
Good evening. My name is Marion Redmond, 27 Hill Street, Rockville, New Jersey. For the past 28 years, I've been a paraprofessional at many different schools and districts. The last 5 years here at High Point Regional High School. The special ed department in this high school is exemplary. The teachers are outstanding. The class sizes from when the young man I worked with as a freshman through the 5 years in his pull-out classes went from 6 or 7 per class to 10 to 12 per class. I was a one-on-one paraprofessional. In my past life, I was also a classroom paraprofessional. All these women here have been full-time at this high school for many, many years. They are caring, they are kind, they are diligent workers. They are members of this community. The top salary a paraprofessional makes is about $25K. I retired that. But when you work full-time, you get the benefits. The benefits are important for everybody's family, for your self-worth, so you don't have to worry about an illness or a major accident or anything wiping out whatever money you can save. So I don't understand. These women not only help in the classroom, they take the students to specials, which are 30 kids, like in a PE class, in a driver's ed class, in a sex ed class, and any of the electives they're willing and able to attend to. They need help within that realm of 30-plus students in a class. And shuttling part-time is not a true commitment as a job as a paraprofessional. It's not a true commitment to the students, and it cannot help all these wonderful teachers in the special ed program. I have seen all of them in the 5 years I've been there. I cannot say enough about this special ed staff, how hard everybody works, and how hard they want to be part of this school community and be inclusive to the nth degree, if at all possible. If those supports are taken away, that is not going to happen. One example I'll give you. The 5th year of the student I was working with came back and his parents asked me not to retire so he could do the work-study program with Brian and Emma. It's an awesome program. He loved it in the afternoon. In the morning, he was able to take whatever electives he wanted because he already completed all the requirements for graduation. He then, looked at the syllabus and said, I really would like to take those movie classes, like Mr. Langan has the history, military history and film, and Mr. Rupert has American history and film. The young man I work with is an LLD student. He's very visual. This was a perfect fit for him, but it's an A-level class. Yes, he was able to attend with modifications in what he had to report back to the teacher and what he understood about the films. It was not easy for him. He worked hard, but he got the opportunity to do it. And he would not have been able to do it if I was not there to help take notes, to clarify things at lunch, and to have him be successful. Am I being time?
Mary, if you could wrap up, we're running out.
All right, I just want to say again, I think it's so very wrong that this decision was made to try to get all these part-time people instead of all these qualified, highly qualified people have worked for 15 and 20 years here and done a great job, and they should stay just the way they are. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tina Palzak, and I live on 7 Mudtown Road. I am an alumni, a former employee, and also a former High Point Board of Education member. I am going to congratulate Mr. Kehoe on your position, and I wish the board great success in their future endeavors. I am concerned that the staff of High Point Regional is not being recognized for all of the effort and the true professionalism that they have and that they give to the students. I think that that needs to be noted and remembered and memorialized in future contracts, however it is, because the students of High Point really do benefit from the dedication and true love that the teachers have here for teaching. I would also like to say that as a business administrator for the Leonia Public Schools, a violation of the Ethics Commission is something that needs to be taken very seriously and should not be just passed over and not paid attention to. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gillian Ray. I live at 104 Valley Road in Wantage. I am here speaking to you as a taxpayer, but also as a Sussex County representative on the Educational Support Professional Committee with the New Jersey Education Association. High Point Regional High School Special Education Department has always been highly respected. The success of this department is largely due to the paraprofessionals. Their students know them, they trust them, and they are comfortable with them. Special education students need consistency. At our county ESP celebration dinner, ESPs are referred to as essential school personnel and extra special people. As a paraprofessional in another county high school, I only have my lunch period during the day off, as do the paras here. I am sure they are as dedicated as I am and often have a shorter lunch period because their students need their attention. ESPs are the backbone of education. The paras work hard here and deserve their health benefits. I'm asking you to please treat these employees as professionals and with the respect they deserve, and with the interest of your students, please reinstate them to full-time for the coming year. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patty Nugent, 18 Sonoma Road, Lafayette. I'm also a life skills teacher at Kittatinny. I'm asking the board to reconsider cutting the full-time paraprofessionals to part-time positions. All students require consistency, special education students even more so. Paras get to know the students, which enhances the stability of the program. The integrity of the program will be compromised with part-time personnel, and our students deserve the consistency. Direct student contact is the most harmful place to make cuts. Full-time personnel get to know the students well, especially those with medical needs. Current paras have made the program what it is today, and we have worked together for 15, 17 years, so I know of what I speak. Part-time positions create problems with field trips, job coaching, etc. We've gone through this at Kittatinny, and we've gone back to full-time. Part-time paras are not as invested in the program or the students. They frequently leave once they find another job with benefits. Is there any way the current full-time paras could be grandfathered in and bring new ones on as part-time? Some of the current paras have been working in the school system for 15 years or more, some 21, some 23. They've been loyal to High Point and the students. They even assist the special ed students after school at various sporting events. Please look to see what other areas could be trimmed first, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mickey Perez, 63 Fox Hill Road in Frankfurt. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Kehoe and Mrs. Tadona. As a parent and taxpayer, I'm here tonight to express my disappointment about programs you decided to cut. There's always a fine line between balancing a budget and meeting expectations of taxpayers. It is not an easy task, but the board needs to find a common ground and compromise, and that is your job. My oldest daughter is a senior here and has received a great education, the kind Ms. Talany promised me 4 years ago she would get. She has had the opportunity to take German as a foreign language 4 consecutive years. So far, she has been accepted into high-achieving colleges like Stony Brook and UConn with substantial academic scholarships to major in the science field. In 4 of her 5 acceptance letters, her dedication to a foreign language was praised, as well as her achievement of the New Jersey State Biliterate Test. By eliminating German as well as the Foreign Language National Honor Society, you are taking that opportunity away, not only from my middle daughter, who's a freshman here, as well as all your sophomores and juniors. That's strike one against a High Point senior competing for a college spot. In order to be accepted into National Honor Society, a student needs to be engaged in school clubs and show leadership within the school community. By eliminating Key Club, academic team, science club, SAVE, STAB, Pass It Along, and so on, you're making it very challenging to get into NHS. Strike 2 for a High Point student applying to a high academic college. AP classes alone do not get you into college. Athletics is not the only way to get a scholarship. Colleges are looking for well-rounded students, and you're just making them one-sided and took the ability to stand out of the way. Many of those volunteer programs give out scholarships. By eliminating those clubs and volunteer opportunities, you take away the ability to apply for financial help through those organizations, therefore potentially causing financial hardship and the inability to attend college. Strike 3 against a High Point student trying to get a higher education. And with that one budget decision, you have reduced your high standard education we hear so much about to just about an average education with only 2 foreign languages. Especially after the recent events where hate signs were found here at High Point, eliminating clubs like Students Against Violence Everywhere and Students Against Bullying is irresponsible. You are changing the culture in this building, and it will have adverse effects. I urge you to reconsider. And just as one last little side note, Kathy Halliwell from the New Jersey School Boards, who covers Sussex County, does a wonderful annual ethics training for board members. She will come to a board meeting She will come to a board meeting and to go over any ethic concerns and changes that might be going on. She's also just a phone call away, but maybe it is time for the new board presidents to invite her here. That should help eliminate any confusion about what is ethical and what is not. Thank you.
Hello, Jody Fernandez, 175 Plains Road, Augusta. And congratulations to the new board pres and Madam Vice, that's great. So I'm here to talk about a pretty unpopular subject, and it's not your salary, sir. I work in corporate America, and I believe that people need to get paid, and we need top people performing at their jobs with a great salary to do it. I'm actually here to talk about taxes, because I don't think that it's ever explained really well, and most people don't know. So the tax increase that we could be looking at to fund this school, and fund this school is what we need to do, because we don't have enough money right now to run it, which is why everybody is here talking about this. So to fund this school, we need more taxpayer money. With what's on the table, that could break down to $11 to $20 a year for a household. $11 to $20 per household, depending on what type of home you currently have. I know for us, I don't want to devalue that because we all work really hard for our money, but we're talking about maybe not eating out one day that week. And we just funded our high school together. Because that's really what we need right now, is a community commitment to make sure that we don't gut this school, because we'll never get it back. I'm not a teacher, but I did start out my college years in that area, and I went to school in Alabama. I did observations in rural Alabama schools. That's not the benchmark. That's not where we want this school to go. I moved back to this town where I was raised because I wanted my kids to go here. They're now 3 and 5 years away from that, and I'm terrified that they're going to come into this school and there aren't going to be the programs that Ms. Perez just eloquently described that we need so that they can move on as qualified individuals and to gain good scholarships and just to have a good high school experience. Okay? We're killing it right now. That's all.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Drew, 153 Meadows Road in Lafayette. I'm a parent of a current sophomore at High Point, Abigail Drew, and she is in the special education program. I just have 2 questions. My first question is, has anyone spoken to any parents about the potential educational impact of removing a full-time aide? Okay. My second question is, anyone spoken to the classroom teacher about the potential educational impact of removing a full-time aide? Okay. I'm a teacher and I'm a parent, so I'm going to give you my quick synopsis. One, I think that's not doing your due diligence in considering something so large as this area. Our special education program has been a budget line item now a couple of times, and it's causing a big fuss. And I'll tell you why. Because they're our most vulnerable students. My daughter wears a diaper. She is changed. This student body has embraced her. Her aide is a huge part of that. She shouldn't have to be changed in a private setting by multiple people. That doesn't seem right to me. She receives occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy. So that means if I have an aide who's her liaison to her classroom teacher, and you change that aide out, now who is going to transfer the information to the classroom setting, and who's the person who's supposed to carry it out all day long? If she's not with her all day long, now when is she? Are you going to set up a separate time for her to meet with someone else and transfer all this information? And I have told her aide, if I had a lot of money, I'd plop you on a beach somewhere and say thank you, because she's really changed our life. She's really has. She's also her voice. Abby's a nonverbal student. She knows all of Abby's gestures, all of her signs, all of her facial things that she does, and she's given her a student experience here that, quite frankly, we've never had. We went to a really Maserati special ed program down on Cedar Knolls. The best of the best, right? I'd like to tell you that the best educational experience we've had in 17 years has been at High Point High School. It's because of the special education department here and all the people who are committed to making that happen. I know it's very hard to find money. I work with my own family budget, and I'm crunching the numbers just like you. It's awful. What's got to go? Something's got to give, right? But I would just ask you to do at least a due diligence in talking about the impact on the education of the student, that you're talking about pulling away their full-time aide from, because I think it's only fair to give them, the parents and the teacher, that chance to tell you what that would look like if you were to remove that position. Thank you.
Excuse me. Hello, my name is Ken Nuss. I live at 4 Northfield Drive in Wantage. I'm an active member of the Sussex Wantage Board of Ed, but tonight I am here only speaking as a taxpayer and a parent. I was wondering if someone, maybe the board attorney, can tell me how back in 2014 the board was able to pass a resolution to hire a board member's relative as a teacher in addition to several other board members with only 4 votes. I realize the board member officially resigned a month before that, but regardless, I just don't know how a board can hold an actual meeting and pass stuff with 4 votes. I don't know. I don't want to take up my time answering it, so you can wait if you don't mind. It appears to me that more and more that this district is run by insiders, for insiders, to benefit those related to and friendly with insiders. And it's just super shady. This needs to stop. Secondly, with regards to canceling the German department, my concern is that many colleges and universities have standard requirements that need to be met for students to even apply. In doing the research, I've learned that many colleges and universities require 3 years of the same language. Some even recommend 4. By abruptly dropping the German program, students that have spent time and effort learning German thus far are going to have to start a new language. Some having 2 years already invested in German and unable to now get a 3rd. For all of those supporters who feel High Point is the best high school around, actions like this lead me to believe otherwise. And I do want to acknowledge the special ed cuts. I really do feel you're going to have to, that's not in my speech, you're going to have to look somewhere else. The board has the right to say to the superintendent and administration the decision to abruptly cancel the German program at the end of the school year is going to negatively impact students trying to get into colleges and universities of their choice. And therefore, administration should look for an alternate class to cut. The Board of Ed should be voicing their opinions to phase out German over the next few years, allowing everyone currently enrolled in a German class to at least get 3 years, if not 4, under their belt. This can easily be accomplished by not offering German to the incoming freshmen this fall. So I hope you guys will make the right choice, and I am super happy to have a new president and vice president. Good luck.
Good evening. Jeff Colarusso, 341 New Road, Montague. And I just want to add that I'm one of the proud Montague people that get to send their kids to High Point and not to Port Jervis. So there are some of us out there who are very happy about that, so thank you. Before I get to what I wanted to say, I wanted to just disagree slightly on one thing. Learning German is one of the best things a kid can do to help learn the English language, because German and English are very closely related. So I would disagree about phasing out German. I think we should make it stronger. That's my 2 cents on that. I'm speaking tonight in opposition to some of the proposed budget cuts for next year. First of all, let me say, I am a proud graduate of this high school from 1992, quite a while ago, and now I need my reading glasses. I understand completely, though, your position in needing to make budget cuts. As having a family of 7, it's something that we have to look at as well. And so I understand your position, and as a taxpayer, I am completely in favor of trimming where trimming is needed and trimming is able. I am grateful for a board of administration that does the hard work of deciding what is best for our district. So I want you to know that at the outset. I appreciate what you all do, and I know how difficult it is. However, as a parent and a taxpayer, I'm confused at a couple of the budget cuts, and I'm wondering what the board is planning for students affected by the cuts. In a time when our student enrollment is declining, I've been encouraged to see areas of our school that have been growing, and it has made my wife and I very happy with our decision to send our oldest 2 sons to High Point. Specifically, I'm speaking of the German department, cutbacks in the music department, and clubs that are being eliminated. Let me be very clear, our German department is being eliminated. We are not cutting a teacher, we're eliminating a program. Therefore, which has a direct effect on our students, including my own oldest son, who has been in German for 2 years. Colleges, as has been mentioned before, want to see 3 consecutive years of one language. What is he supposed to do now that it's going to be impossible for him to fulfill that requirement? I wonder if the board has taken this into consideration before making that decision, and you don't have to answer, I'm just putting it out there. He's not the only one. In fact, I know there was one student who's in his class who's a junior who decided to take Italian for his foreign language, took Italian 1 his freshman year, and that program was eliminated. So he moved over to German, took German 1 and now German 2, and now that program is being eliminated. So here's a student going into his senior year with no chance of fulfilling the 3-year requirement that some colleges have, and he is a college-bound student. All right. Enrollment in the German program has increased since Herr Berger has been hired. The students are excited to learn. Even my second son, who hates the idea of having to learn a different language, he hates language learning. He loves Aaron Berger's class because there's a climate of excitement and wanting to learn in his room. We have an incredible teacher in Herr Berger who's an incredible role model for the students in his class, the players on his soccer team, and to everyone he comes in contact with. And the fact that our school has decided to reward his high performance with a pink slip is an embarrassment, quite frankly. Secondly, I want to talk about our band program. I'm a proud graduate of our music department here. In fact, I'm a music teacher myself for the last 17 years. And again, at a time of decreasing enrollment in our school, the band program continues to grow and thrive thanks to the hard work and leadership of our 2 teachers, Mr. Islanian and Mr. Carroll. Now Mr. Carroll is being cut back again to 3/5. And I know the board realizes the mistake that this is because when Mr. Carroll's position was threatened 2 years ago, the board made the correct decision to keep him on board after there was much protest about it. He's currently a 4/5 employee, but I can tell you from personal experience that Casey Carroll is here more than a vast majority of every single one of the full-time teachers who work in the district. He's a vital part of the success of our band program, and he should be kept at the current level. In fact, I think he should be made full-time because he's so valuable. The thing I don't understand is why are we cutting back on programs that are growing, even when our enrollment is declining? They've showed that they can succeed in their programs and provide great opportunities for our kids, so cutting them back is a big mistake. Finally, I think it is reprehensible to be cutting such valuable activities such as Pass It Along, the academic team, the science club, and many others. I find it very telling there's not a single athletic position or activity or coaching position on the chopping block. And I understand cuts have to be made. But surely we could cut one coaching position from a few different sports to make up the difference. Why are we cutting entire programs that our kids deserve to be in? What's the message that we're sending to them? The message is that academic and character activities are dispensable, but that athletics are untouchable. That's a dangerous message to be sending all of our kids that are in these programs. The last thing, I agree with what Jody said. I think that people should be paid what they're worth from the top down. I agree with that 100%. But it's embarrassing, and you're making us the butt of jokes, that we're talking about budget cuts when just 2 months ago it was in the paper the amount of increases that our superintendent got. And I'm not debating whether he deserved it or not, but that needs to be from the top down. How dare we cut positions for budget issues?
Good evening. My name is Nick Souther, 8 Valley Road, Sussex, and I'm a sophomore here at High Point. I'm also here with Joe Samaglia, who is a junior here, and he's also taking part in what I'm allowed to say. In September of 2018, I found out that High Point lost almost $363,000 in state aid funding. This was very concerning, and I was compelled to do something about this deficit. I wrote a 4-page essay on this topic for my English class and contacted the business administrator, Mr. Minkowitz, to obtain a copy of the budget transfers and the check registrar. After this, it seemed like I did what I was able to do to help, taking into consideration all the information I had obtained from news articles, state reports, and school administration. On Monday, March 11th, as I was reporting to class, I witnessed one of my teachers becoming seemingly distraught in their office. I asked the teacher if they knew what happened, and I was told that due to the decrease in state aid funding, some staff members were victims of reduction in force or RIF. I was outraged. As soon as I got home, I made a petition with a petition statement, and the following day I began seeking signatures. I would like to make it clear to the members of the board and the general public that myself and students at High Point are petitioning against the dismissal of our beloved German teacher, Mr. Aaron Berger, and the decision to cut the German curriculum. I intend on circulating this for the next few weeks, and I will present the final petition to the members of the board at the April Board of Education meeting. As a courtesy, we are giving the members of the board in both the April Board of Education meeting to answer the following. How did school officials come to the decision? How did school officials come to the decision to dismiss our German teacher, Mr. Aaron Berger, and the decision to cut the German curriculum? 2. What alternative options, if any, were explored before coming to the decision to cut the German curriculum? And 3. What is the total amount of students scheduled to take German courses for the 2019-20 school year? Finally, I propose that Dr. Ripley will forego a portion of his undue raise to save our German department and Mr. Aaron Berger. I also have copies of all of my questions because I do expect a response.
Everybody, we're running up to the 45-minute limit, so we'll try not to be strict about it, but we can't take too many more people because we have a lot of business to do today. Thank you, buddy.
And just to be clear, to follow up with the board president said, there will be another time for public comment at the end of the meeting.
Hello, my name is Joseph Navia from 32 Road. I'm a junior, and the one thing I remember coming into the school, I was promised I will have the support of the staff. I have so many opportunities. And by the board, just limiting all these clubs, these opportunities, the support staff, the aides, you guys are limiting our opportunities. I was promised this when I first came in as a freshman. And by the board just doing this out of nowhere, it's disappointing, disappointing. And the one thing I love most is German class. Mr. Ehrenberger supported me a lot, and I didn't like German in the first place, but once I actually got into it, I love the culture. Once you actually get into it, it's very interesting. And the sad thing is, I know tons of freshmen that's coming here next year wants to learn German, because at home, how cool it is. And it's sad that the board can't find funds or can't centralize, somehow get funding for German or support the aides here. Just to save, this to have opportunities for us. And most colleges require 2 to 4 years to get in most colleges. And German is an opportunity, and by you limiting it, you have 2 options, which is Spanish and French. Most high schools have more than that. Most of them have Spanish, French, Italian, German, and it's less opportunities for us. And I think the rate that for our superintendent is not right. He should never got a raise. It's disappointing that he's getting $3,000 raise after us getting this cut. That might be used for something more useful for the student body. I tell you, most of us students expect us to have opportunities, especially becoming freshmen. I want to have, not just me and the seniors and everyone up here, but everyone below me have the opportunities that we have right now in High Point. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Drew, 25 Monroe Road, Lafayette. And when I came to the meeting, I really had not, I don't have anything prepared. I came to the meeting because I heard what was going on with the special ed area. You've already heard my daughter-in-law speak. It was only, what, 2 or 3 years ago when we were here with probably many of the same people here because there was talk about moving the special ed program out. We were thrilled that you kept it. Our granddaughter has thrived in this program because of the aides that she has. And as has already been expressed, to take them away is going to hurt her. So my encouragement to you is to look a little deeper. Look a little deeper at what you're doing. These kids thrive in that program. And to the teachers and the parents that are here, thank you. You guys have done a fantastic job.
Hi, I'm Elena Kravick from 13 Estate Drive.
As a current High Point Regional High School senior, I have gotten the education that was promised to me 4 years ago. After almost completing my journey here, the atmosphere has changed a great deal. I find it a struggle to come here every day and often find it hard to wake up in the morning. And trust me, it is not senioritis. In my time here, I have taken part in many clubs, such as Academic Team and Key Club, which I found out recently have been cut from the budget for next year. I am here to propose an idea. It has been brought to my attention that the High Point football team receives 2 new uniforms every year. Instead of doing this, it would be a much better solution to cut this and make a budget to help fund these 2 clubs which have shaped me to who I am today. As for Dr. Scott Ripley's new raise, I find it ridiculous, and most of the student body does too. If we are struggling with budget now, then how are we able to give him a raise? Thank you.
My name, Evan Schock, 4 George Hill Road, Augusta, from Frankfort Township. I am a sophomore at High Point Regional High School. I am currently enrolled in the German program and plan to continue my studies next year. However, I have recently been told that the German will be cut from next year's curriculum. As a student and member of the High Point community, I do not feel that this is what is best for our school, and I have collected 116 signatures from fellow students who agree with me. I would like to present this petition on their behalf to respectfully request the continuation of the German program.
My name is Sophie Shuck. I am from 4 George Hill Road, Augusta, New Jersey. I am part of the freshman class at Franklin Township School. We have heard that you are planning on cutting the German program from the curriculum next year. I would like to present you with 35 signatures of the incoming freshmen from Franklin Township School in hopes of retaining the German program, because it is extremely important that we continue this amazing program.
Hi, I'm Peter Knight, 16 Wackertown Road, Frankfurt. First, I'd like to congratulate the new president-elect and vice president-elect. I hope that with this change of leadership, we can see a different level of professionalism and ethics being exercised. I won't repeat what some other people have said, but ethics is probably the most important aspect of serving on a board. And I think I've learned that in some cases that's been missing. I'd like to see the leadership bring a higher level of professionalism and decorum to these meetings. Tonight was so far has been so much different than last month's. I think one of the important starting points for the new leadership of the board is to provide training in ethics. Somebody mentioned earlier that that's available to the board. I think it would be great to show that type of effort. I understand as a businessman the challenges of managing a budget. There are times that there's excess money and there's times that there's not enough money. Today, I think the Board of Education should be going out and promoting the success that the school has provided previous students. I think as a taxpayer, if taxpayers truly understand the challenges and the costs, not so much in terms of monetary costs, but in other costs, they'll be more likely to be willing to live with an increase. After all, cutting to part-time these paraprofessionals, I consider sinful. I've been blessed. I haven't had any family that needed it, but these special needs students should not be discounted. I think I'm somewhat disappointed. I haven't seen any of our Board of Freeholders here tonight addressing these issues. Now, one would say, what does the Board of Freeholders or the county government have to do with the Board of Education? Well, it comes down to the matter of funding. Part of the problem why taxes are going up is that the Board of Freeholders have failed to attract new rateables into our community. That puts more and increasing pressure on the residential property taxpayers. With a declining population, I'll wrap this up in a second, with a declining population and with no new major tax rateables coming into the county, the burden is on the shoulders of residents. I grew up in Paramus, and Paramus had low taxes, excellent schools, and the reason is because they learned 60 years ago, 70 years ago, that by bringing taxable rateables into the town, not that I want to turn our county into Bergen County, far from it, that's why I live here. But just one final note about German. It's sad to think that we're just going down to French and Spanish. When I was at school, we had Latin, German, French, and probably ones that I can't recall. In today's world, we should not be closing our children's minds to what's out there. In the world of business, German is a language that is spoken along with French. I'm just sad that you don't have Latin as well. Well, thank you and good night.
We're over 45 minutes. Are there people left back there?
Yeah, I just want to very briefly.
If you could make it last two, and there's going to be another period at the end if you want to stay, but I'd like to, in fairness to everybody here, be able to come on.
Okay. David Radler, 5 Sunset Lane, Augusta. I'm also here to talk about the German class. My son is a sophomore here in High Point. The students have invested 2 years of their time to German as a foreign language already. Removing this course ruins the students' chances of being on the Foreign Language National Honor Society. Other school districts are adding languages. They're adding Arabic. They're adding sign language. They're adding other languages, and High Point is taking away a third language. Granted, we have Spanish, we have French, but our children, the ones that you need to think about the most, our children, your students, they need not to have things cut. They need to be given the opportunity to succeed. Colleges are looking for 3 to 4 years of a foreign language. What are you going to do for my children? What are you going to do for their children? Did you take that into consideration before you decided to make this cut? I'm an educator from another district, and I can tell you one other thing. When you start making cuts, people start leaving the district, and when you start losing the good teachers, it's going to go downhill. Take that into consideration. Thank you.
My name is Samuel Orr from Brenchville. I'm a junior here at High Point, and I know you're pressed for time, so I'll keep this brief. First, I just want to bring up another thing that Mr. Colarusso brought up before. I am a member of the academic team, and I find it very fun that we get to actually show off our knowledge and actually be proud of stuff that we have learned at this amazing high school. And I think to cut that and to not cut anything from sports is again saying that sports are more important than actual knowledge. That's just my personal opinion. And then secondly, I am in agreement with almost everyone in this entire room that to cut the special education programs to part-time would be detrimental to their own education. Because I have interacted, I've met with the special education students. Some of them are very good friends of mine, and I know that they are very, very attached to their aides. And to cut the aides to part-time and to bring in new aides would just be, I think they need continuity, and they need that sort of stability to be able to correctly integrate themselves into our society, and to only cut them to part-time, I think would alienate them even more than they already are. And so I think, just again from an ethical standpoint, think of it from their point of view. They want to be as normal as possible. They want to be in our own society. So I think to take away the aides takes away that opportunity from them. Thank you very much.
All right, as we mentioned before, there is going to be a period at the end of the evening. If somebody needs to speak, something goes up again, but at this point we need to move on to the agenda. So the next point of agenda is we had the student council, correct? So the next one would be the HPEA, please.
Good evening, and congratulations, I think, are in order. Thank you. I'm Carla Mancuso, HPA president, and it's very upsetting for me to be here right now, to be representing our paraprofessionals. And it's never a good day when a president of a teachers association walks in and has to sit in on reduction in force for teachers. It's even worse when you have to sit in for turning our permanent partners, our paraprofessionals, into temporary workers. It's very emotional for me because I've been here 18 years and I've worked with most of them. I worked with most of them in the summer program. I work with most of them now. I know them by name. Their charges know them by name. Our paraprofessionals support the emotional well-being of their students they serve. Full-time paras monitor student progress across disciplines, not just in one classroom. And when they're not with their charges, when their charges are going through speech therapy or physical therapy, they're in the classroom keeping up with the work that the kids miss. So when they come back, they're caught up to speed, and they don't feel like anything ever happened. It's continuity, it's continuity, it's continuity. These people get up 4:30 in the morning, some of them, and ride the buses so their charges can be here. They ride their buses in the afternoon, and they come back late to get in their cars and to go home. I can't imagine sending my child in the morning with one of their charges and then send them home with somebody else. I just don't understand that. So it doesn't have to do about salary, because we have 8 that are coming back as part-time. You're going to hire 8 more for the afternoon. So it's not salary. It comes down to health care. So these people that are making $15,000 to $25,000 a year would have to be forced to pay COBRA, which works out to about $600 a month. They can't afford to work. They're taxpayers, their mothers, their brothers, their sisters, fathers, they're taxpayers. Their charges depend on them for not only emotional, but social stability. They know when those kids, their charges, are off-key. They'll bring them to another classroom, they'll give the heads up to the teacher, and everything runs smoothly. It runs so smoothly, you don't even know they're here sometimes. Their charges are allowed to go off on their own, and they're following them, or they're together with them, they're doing therapy with them. It's continuity. We have continuity for the rest of our students. All matter. All students matter. All people matter. We need a fair education for our special education students We need our paras full-time. Other school districts do this in attrition. When somebody retires, then they're replaced with 2. These people have been here 22 years, 21 years, 15 years. I can't even say that this is just not right. So thank you for listening. Special ed hasn't been cut, as far as I know, statewide. We lost a special ed teacher also, a reduction in force. That's devastating. We lost some other teachers, but I understand that special ed, 22% of our population here is special ed. 22% special ed. Please reconsider. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Callaway?
Good evening, everyone. I hate to kind of talk this way so we can see everybody as well. I'd like to give an update on some of the school activities and the other activities that are going on. As you can see, Mr. Campbell's up next. This is our Nhs Induction Ceremony. This is a great picture of the entire group. We talk about and heard a lot about things that go on. This is one of the examples of the high standards that we have, and I think we have some of the staff members in here. I thought I saw Mr. Mina somewhere. There we go, Mr. Mina. So close to me, I didn't see it. Kudos to Mr. Mina and Mrs. Sarno for a tremendous ceremony. At the end of the month, last month, a tremendous job. Just a great group of students that were, the accolades were just tremendous that they exhibited that night. So kudos to Mr. Mina and Mrs. Sarno for that ceremony. A couple of things, yes, round of applause for that. A couple of the student awards that we've seen in the last several weeks. Elise Keel, her name you may be familiar with at this point because she's been nominated for many things. She was nominated for the Youth Art Award. I had the opportunity to go down with her last Friday down to the Trenton State House. Elise was one of 2 students in the county that was nominated for that award. So she was there representing High Point very well at the State House. It was a very nice ceremony for her for the Youth Art Award last week. Her teacher was Kelly Shenice, who was the one that nominated her, and it was for digital photography. So her photograph was one of the ones that was chosen. Every county in the state was represented by middle schoolers and also high schoolers, and she was one of 2 students from Sussex County. Elise, again, also was nominated and won the 2nd place, and it's called the Hats Off for Helmets. It's a Safe Kids Middle New Jersey contingency, and she won the logo contest, 2nd place logo contest for that, and she's going to be recognized as well next week for that. So she's had a tremendous couple weeks before that. She was also recognized for another art award, and she's looking to go to probably Ithaca College for photography. Decky came back from the state competition, and we had 7 students that went there. Kaylee Holder, Amber Van Horn, Barry Lapper, Sydney Hill, Ryan Frieda, Matt Kiefer, and Kyle Lindsay all went on to the state competition down in Atlantic City. And we have 2 students, in addition 2 students also there, Hope and Paige, Hope McGarren and Paige McCarrick, and they'll be going on to the Nationals at the end of this month. So kudos to them for representing High Point as well. We had STEM League, which you probably saw in the paper. Thank you to the New Jersey Herald for running that nice article on the STEM League, coordinated by Brian Drellick and several of our teachers. Mr. Fuhrer, Mr. Peltier, Mr. Cardinal, Mr. Marancic also assisted. And that was a day for 8th graders to come up from all ascending districts and be part of STEM League competitions here at High Point. It's a great day to see our students working with their students every single day. Coincidentally, it was also Pi Day, 3.14, right? So we had a Pi Day experience thanks to Mr. Kappmeyer, Mrs. Imperio. They coordinated that through the Math National Honor Society. And we had all the Math National Honor Society students went into math class throughout the day and presented a problem. Most of them, if you saw them, I know a lot of the staff saw them, they were teaching me because it was like top-notch stuff. And then at celebration, if they solved the problem, they had a pie while in class as well. So a nice celebration for that, for Pi Day. Today we had the opportunity and the privilege to be part of the 50th anniversary of Teen Arts. For those of you that have not in the community and also the board have not had a chance to see Teen Arts at Sussex County Community College, I implore you to try to do that next year. It's always in March. It's It's a fantastic event. We sent about 115 students today, in media, in performance arts, in chorus, jazz, dance. We had crafts projects over there. We had our construction and manufacturing students that had projects over there as well. We had art, we had photography, we had graphic design, we had media tech that were all there represented. So a fantastic day for that. And again, a recognition. I wish we had more recognition on a county level for that type of event, because we're talking 150 students from High Point, and there was probably 15 different schools that were represented there. So that's something we should celebrate as a county, and a celebration of arts education. Again, for 50 years, that's a pretty prominent occurrence. One other thing we have coming up at the end of this month is the spring musical. Invite all the community there as well. We'll have Fiddler on the Roof as our program for this year, and Mrs. Riccardi, who does an outstanding job every single year, is working hard with our students, some of them that you saw tonight already, working hard on that program. That's the 29th to the 31st. Right here in the cafeteria on the 31st, we have our annual Senior Citizen Luncheon, which we're looking to serve about 200 senior citizens prior to having them go to the Fiddler on the Roof show in the afternoon. And that's kudos to Mrs. Frisbee, Mrs. Lembo, Mrs. Hennings, she's over here somewhere, I think it's all right there, and Mr. Blevins for coordinating that event for the senior citizens. It's really a nice opportunity for our community. And last but certainly not least, coming up in mid-April, we have the Stand Up Against Hate Symposium, which is really a grassroots effort led by our students and our teachers. And that is, again, one example of when you let the educators, that some of them that are in the room here today, and the students that are in the room as well, kind of lead something, they come up with a fantastic symposium. So we're looking for that symposium. Again, it's embedded. We're going to have some speakers that are going to come in, but it's all run by our students and by our teachers. So kudos to them for a fantastic event. It's been a fantastic event for several years. I'm looking forward to that again on the 18th. Last but not least, for our schedule build, thank you to our guidance department and our child study team as they continue to work on our schedule for next year. That's a very tedious task, and we're looking forward to starting to build that schedule as well. Mr. Keogh, it's okay if I'll switch over just real quick to the athletic side?
Please do.
Okay. Just wanted to mention that for winter sports, as we're wrapping up, and hard to believe that we're actually getting started for spring sports out there already, as it seems to be, the weather starts to change, hopefully. We had 28 student athletes that were nominated for all league in winter sports. I'm not going to list every one of them, but it's a tremendous accomplishment for our students as individuals that are recognized for their sports kudos. We had Allison Maggio, who was selected to All-State Skiing. Mr. Mana is a coach again for that, and Allison is a pretty stellar athlete amongst many athletes that we have in the building, and I think she's going to have a fantastic career here at High Point, so we're very proud of that. Last but not least for athletics, we had Matthew Carter is nominated and honored. That's going to be next Thursday, March 28th, for the Morris County Football Foundation as our Scholar Athlete for 2018-2019, which is different than our Scholar Athlete that we just had last week for passing along. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a privilege to be here this evening to speak about great students, great staff, and great curriculum. Behind me is a snapshot of the best and brightest, and it is a privilege to work in education and to come to a special place every day where you are surrounded by inspiring, ambitious, accomplished young people such as that. So there are best and brightest. I open up with something a little warm and fuzzy before we get to Park. Good news. The New Jersey state learning assessments have been reduced. I believe that assessments are valid. I believe that many of the assessments that our students currently take are valid. What most educators believe is that the process of Park being instituted was a bit too lengthy, a bit too bureaucratic, a bit too cumbersome. So we're very pleased to announce that that process has been dramatically condensed. 2 years ago, our formal assessments in English, math, and science consumed 8 entire days of instruction. And our teachers and our students loved the classroom, and that's where they want to be, and 8 days was quite intrusive. Now, Park is, the name has been dropped, the assessment is quite similar, but the new formal name is the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. Yesterday, now the Park schedule opens up in about 2 weeks. Yesterday, the New Jersey Department of Education at approximately 11 a.m. announced that our 11th grade students would be exempt from this testing requirement. So we're quite pleased. Again, we've had assessments such as this since 1979. They're valid, aspects of them are good. We would just like to see a little bit less. So now, for science, for English, and for math, High Point will be able to have all 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. The 11th grade students will take their science test, but they will not have to take math or English. But to go from 8 days to 2 is really a give back to our curriculum and our teachers and our students. So we're very excited that we can administer the assessments this year in 2 days. So that's good news. Speaking of assessments, we had a staff meeting on February 27th, and we collected input from all of our faculty, and then 16 members of the faculty volunteered to serve on an assessment committee. We are evaluating how we may want to revise our formal summative assessments for next year. Whether those are quarterlies or midterms or finals or a combination. Several years ago, we had midterms and finals. They amounted to 20% of the student's grade for the year. We now have quarterly assessments, which serve a very significant purpose of shifting classroom instruction away from content and more towards project-based learning and skills. There's a sense on the administration and staff's perspective that that pendulum should come back, and we need a little more formalization of those assessments. So I will be presenting either in April or May a plan driven by staff feedback and put together by the teachers and administrators for your consideration. So we're excited to do something. It's really something there's strong consensus on. The teachers support it, the administration supports it. We're hopeful that what is in place for next year is meets the goals of what we would like to see out of our in-house assessments. Career Day. I see some community members here who were at our Career Day last year. We are well aware of the fact that we're a comprehensive high school serving a diverse group of students, and we have students going to 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, trade schools, and right into the workforce. And we are deeply committed to serving the needs of all of those cohorts of students. Our Career Day will be in this room. This year we're going to have it in sort of an open, kind of like a college fair. And the reason we're doing that is we would like our young people to have dialogue with career representatives who come to High Point. Last year we had approximately 12 classrooms, and students got to self-select what career speaker they wanted to go and hear. That was great, but it didn't allow for some of that informal conversation. So we're excited to get 40 or 50 members of the community here Friday afternoon, May 24th, to continue to boost our school culture that promotes all pathways. I'd like to speak a little bit about our STEM program and our humanities program. First of all, as Mr. Talamay mentioned, it was quite an honor to have our sending districts here last week on Pi Day. They got some great press in the local media, but when students come back, we have teachers from the sending district, we have former students that are now teaching, that are back at their alma mater, and it really had a great feel of a community event, that we've got junior high school students, junior high school teachers, our students, our faculty, all working together on a fun, competitive activity. And it was Pi Day. So it was really a great day, and very proud of Mr. Drellett for his efforts in coordinating that. Gentleman on the far right is Mr. Kapler, who's a great guy. The guy one in from him is Mr. Josh Cohn. Josh Cohn was the technology leader at the Department of Education. He since left there, and he now runs the technology program at New Jersey's largest school system, that being Newark. He has told numerous people around the state who have called him, he's the State Department leader in technology, who want to build a STEM program, and his response repeatedly has been, if you want to build a STEM program, call Mr. Brian Drellick at High Point High School because they have the finest STEM program in New Jersey. Now, for him to come here, for Newark, for the most well-funded, largest district in the state, to travel an hour and a half north and want to look at our facilities and meet with our teachers and talk about our curriculum is the type of compliment we receive frequently, and we're incredibly proud of that. Humanities, we've got right side and left side, and our humanities teachers are doing tremendous things. Mr. Diodino is here, the leader of our humanities program. I was not able to go today. Mr. Talamay and Mr. Diodino were there, but it's safe to say we were the finest, most accomplished, gifted group of students that were at Teen Arts. Absolutely. Fine arts, performing arts, our students are simply unbelievable. And their teachers drive them and inspire them, and they're just fantastic. We have a great 52-year tradition at High Point, and we like to think about the connections to our past. And here this evening is a gentleman who essentially began our performing arts program, and I'd like to recognize that as today we go to Teen Arts and we recognize the gifted musical students, that Mr. Werner Lutz, who's here, began our performing arts program. Mr. Lutz, would you please stand for a moment? I believe he also is the composer, author of our school anthem, our alma mater. And the Wildcat War. So thank you for your service and the legacy that you helped establish. Fine arts, our students are unbelievable. And as I'll mention in a moment, their artwork adorns the campus. You'll see behind this screen a mural that was painted probably in the 1960s. Mr. Talamay has begun a campaign called Let Our Walls Talk. We have the most immaculate, phenomenal facility in the state of New Jersey, and it's getting better because in every hallway, increasingly, our students' artwork is adorning the walls. They're proud of it, and walking down the halls, you get to see what they're all about and what they're capable of. Mrs. Loyola is here this evening, and I think Ms. Clausen is here, and so is Mrs. Vasili, sorry. But we had a group of staff members who took about 15 students, 20? 40, I'm sorry. 40 of our students went to the Yale Club in New York City, met some of the most prominent authors writing today about history, and it was a phenomenal experience. Not only did they take these students after school on their own time to New York City, but they secured grant funding to make the trip possible. So we're thrilled that our humanities students are experiencing those kinds of things. Now, STEM and humanities, it's not one versus the other. Increasingly, our faculty is bringing together the talents and abilities of STEM and humanities, and nowhere is that more present than the Chihuly Project. We have probably a dozen teachers who have worked hard. The board this evening will be asked to approve a class trip where students will go to the Sussex County Municipal landfill, and they'll also travel into New York to see an exhibit from Dale Chihuly, who is a famous artist whose the basis of his work is recycled materials. So anytime we see our teachers in STEM and humanities collaborating and building, it's really exciting. Which brings me to this. I couldn't really tell if it was an airplane or a shark or a whale. I believe it's a shark, but again, another example where our fine arts department and our science department are asking students to bring together their knowledge and synthesize it into something that is even more meaningful. It's a whale? Yeah, it's a killer whale. Killer whale, thank you. Anytime I present, I'd like to ask the audience to please follow us on social media through Mr. Fenlin's social media ambassador program, for which he's probably had 50 school districts around the country. Contact him and ask him for his blueprint. Our students provide daily tweets. So if you go on Twitter and you just flip through at High Point HPR Wildcats, you'll see every 5 or 10 minutes from the eyes of our students the great things that they're doing in classroom. Book club. Ms. Clausen is here this evening, and inspired by a book written by Penny Kittle a couple years ago, she spearheaded a movement for us to allow students to have more time to read books they want to read. The entire English department now champions this, and they've worked hard to personally connect with their students and to inspire them to love reading. So it's been a huge, huge impact on our school. We believe we have a literacy culture that is strengthening and growing, and so hats off to our language arts department for their hard work in that area. They have inspired faculty book clubs. So we have teachers reading books and speaking about them. The board office recently had a book club and met. We're trying to ask teachers to carry books and ask students to ask them what they're reading. We're trying to really build a culture of literacy, and it's been fantastic. Fact Tuesday was here, and our world language department had a lot of fun. Very creative, very energetic. Our scholar athletes, Tyra Wingle, John Kappelmeyer, and our Superintendent Roundtable Award, Julianne Mangano, 3 of the finest young students that you'll ever meet. So hats off to them. And Mr. Fenlon was Tyra's teacher of influence. All pass it along, scholar athlete. Students got to choose one coach or one teacher, and she chose Mr. Fenlon. As I mentioned, Let Our Walls Talk. It's spreading. It's everywhere. It's upstairs. There are places that used to be just yellow, and now our students are creating, and it's fantastic to see. So thank you, Mr. Talamay, for getting that just growing each year throughout our building. Charlotte Pagliaro went to Haiti last year, and just last week, she asked Mrs. Fasano if she could go in, talk to the world history students about her Haiti trip, and ask them to give some sweat equity and package relief supplies that will be going to Haiti. So great example of service learning taking place at High Point. And last, one of my all-time favorite students, she's the mayor, but that is my friend Bridget, who with Mrs. Smith does tremendous programs throughout the county where they travel and they meet students from around the county and they bowl and they do great stuff. And they now, to teach life transitional skills, have a cafe right across the hall right there where they serve staff specialty drinks all the time. So congrats for all you do with your program. Any questions on any of that? Good, thank you.
11C3, that as of the date of the board secretary's monthly financial reports, no budgetary line item account has encumbrances and expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation in violation of NJAC 6A23-2.11A.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Comer.
Yes.
Mr. Gona.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Third point of business, it's recommended that the board approve the report of transfers and minimum expense transfer report for the month of February 2019.
Motion. Second.
Any questions? Can you take a roll call, please?
Ms. Comer.
Yes.
Mr. Gona.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Point 4, it's recommended that the board approve for payment the attached schedule of audited bills dated March 19, 2019. Do we have a motion?
Yes. I move.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Can you take a roll call, please?
Mr. Gona.
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Conrad?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. Number 5, it is recommended the board accepts the agency account, adult education, athletic account, cafeteria account, principal, petty cash, school store, and student accounts for February 2019. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Seeing no questions, Jim, would you take a roll?
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Rangy?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Conrad?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. Point 6, it is recommended that the board approves the following tuition contracts between High Point Regional High School sending and the following districts and related information. Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Seeing no questions, Jim, please make a roll call.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Rangy?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Conrad?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. Number 7, it is recommended that the board approve the adoption of the tentative school budget for the 2019-2020 school year as follows. Adoption of tentative budget 2019-2020. Be it resolved that the tentative budget be approved for 2019-2020 school year and authorized to submit the following tentative budget to the Executive County Superintendent of Schools for approval in accordance with the statutory deadline. Total expenditures, I should have my glasses. General Fund 21,966,451. Special revenue 278,313. Debt service none. Total 22,244,764. Less anticipated revenues 7,429,005. Special revenue would be 278,313. Debt service none. For a total anticipated revenues of 7,707,318. Taxes to be raised from the general fund 14,537,446. Special revenue none. Debt service none, for a total of 14,537,446. Be it resolved that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education approves the levy of general fund taxes for the 2019-2020 tentative school budget to be 14,537,446. Travel and related expenses reimbursement 2019-2020. Whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education recognizes school staff and board members will incur travel expenses related to and within the scope of their current responsibilities, and for the travel, and promotes the.
Excuse me, Joe, you didn't vote on the budget.
Is this
This is from the agenda.
This is still the board's meeting, and this is all the same resolution.
It's the same resolution, Mr. Getman.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Bear with me, I'm a slow reader. Delivery instructions to further the efficient operation of the school district. And whereas NJAC 6A:23B-1.1 at SEQA requires board members to receive approval of these expenses by a majority of the full voting membership of the board, and the staff members to receive prior approval of these expenses by the superintendent of schools and a majority of the full voting membership of the board. And whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education may establish for regular district business travel only an annual school year threshold of $1,500 per staff member, where prior board approval shall not be required unless the annual threshold for a staff member is exceeded in a given school year, July 1st through June 30th. And whereas travel and related expenses not in compliance with NJAC 6A:23B-1.1 at SEQA, but deemed by the High Point Regional High School Board of Education to be necessary and unavoidable, as noted on the approved High Point Regional High School Board of Education out-of-district travel and reimbursement forms. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the High Point Regional High School Board of Education approves all travel not in compliance with NJAC 6A:23B-1.1 at sequence as being necessary and unavoidable as noted on the approved High Point Regional High School Board of Education out-of-district travel reimbursement forms, and be it further resolved, the High Point Regional High School Board of Education approved travel and related expense reimbursements in accordance with NJAC 6A 23B-1.2B to a maximum expenditure of $75,000 for all staff and board members, and to advertise said tentative budget in the New Jersey Herald in accordance with the form suggested by the State Department of Education and according to law. Do I?
Second.
Any comment? Is there any comments or questions? Seeing no comments, Jim, would you take a vote?
Mr. Marine? Yes. Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Keimer?
No.
Mr. Dunn?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Dunn? Yes. Mr. Keel?
Yes. Transportation. Somebody?
It's mine. I can tell about the buses. I'm not going to say much.
I'm moving items 1, 2, and 3 on the transportation agenda. Each one is for a bus contract, and they're not very exciting, so I'm moving them, and I need a second.
Second.
Anybody have any questions or concerns about what's on there? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Keimer?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn? Yes. Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. Next order of business is correspondence. There isn't any. Miscellaneous. The High Point Theater is proud to present Fiddler on the Roof, March 29th and 30th at 7 p.m. and March 31st at 2 p.m. The next area is public comments. We're going to open it for public comments again. We're going to do 3-minute intervals. Please be respectful and try to keep your time to 3 minutes so everybody has a chance to speak. Mr. Gettin, I know you have your charts you wanted. Oh, yes.
Before I cover the charts, a member of the public mentioned the taxes going up $11 a year. It's not true. With the changes in the equalization ratio in Sussex County this year, Branchville and Wantage are in the hot seats. Sussex Borough is going to see tax reductions. Without any tax increases, Wantage stood to go up at least $100 this year. No tax increases. Branchville, maybe $175, with no tax increases. Sussex Borough could see a reduction of over $200. The county has already announced a $1.5 million proposed increase. Now you've announced a $280. So Wantage is probably up over $200. That's on the average home now. Branchville might be up in the 300s. How many more people do we have to chase out of Sussex County? And I said this to the county board of freeholders. Now that I have more numbers, I can do better calculations. Of course, the state hasn't sent me their numbers yet, so last meeting, board meeting, we got to endure a presentation of some charts. Board's meeting, 19th February, member Wayne Dunn made a presentation based on a series of 5 color-coded charts. On 20 February, the very next day, I hand-delivered an Oprah and common law request to the board's office, requesting copies of the color-coded charts, etc. Under Oprah, the board had 7 business days to respond to my request. On Monday, 11 March, I hand-delivered a letter to the board's office that read, quote, As a reminder, since High Point board member Wayne Dunn used color-coded charts, it's important that the hard copies provided to me also be color-coded. Since the High Point Regional Board meeting is scheduled for 19 March 2019, it's imperative that I immediately receive the public records that I requested, close quote. It is now 19 March and I've yet to receive copies of the public records that I had requested. Obviously, High Point Regional is in violation of OPRA. Obviously, the board, excuse me, Bill, not you, predecessors, did not want me to have this information so that I could not properly prepare for this evening's meeting. It just made my preparations more of a challenge. On Monday, 18 March, I hand-delivered, yesterday, a letter addressed to Board President Kyle Voe to the board's office requesting I be allowed to make a presentation concerning these charts at tonight's meeting. I guess we got an answer to my letter. Mr. Veely is not here. What are my qualifications to make these presentations? First, I'm a taxpayer of High Point District.
I know you want additional time. Does somebody want to give their 3 minutes to Mr. Gettis so we can do his charts? We have somebody. Go ahead, Mr. Gettis.
Okay. Second, I was employed in the field of engineering for almost 50 years, and I was the engineering manager for 2 New Jersey companies. Third, many years ago, I had a part-time job drawing sales charts for the cosmetic division of a major pharmaceutical company. I apologize for not having copies of my presentation for everyone, but unlike this board, I cannot force the taxpayers to pay for what I want to do. I have a number of copies. When board member Wayne Dunn started his presentation, he said something about trying to keep members of the public from giving out false information. Dunn also said his charts, by coincidence, happened to start at the same time as Mr. Ripley became the superintendent. But the charts started on 1 July 2012, whereas Mr. Ripley was promoted on 1 September 2013, over a year later, so that was not true. I don't remember what order Mr. Dunn presented the charts in, but for my convenience, I've numbered them 1 through 5. Chart 1, tax levies for 2012-2018. Chart reads tax levy. It's obviously the operating budget tax levy. I will compliment Dunn for not trying to include the debt service local tax levy into his chart. The chart contains a lot of interesting information. It's basically a total apples-oranges comparison. High Point is 9 to 12. The other schools are K to 8. To make the chart more informative, I've added some numbers onto the chart. Since the data was known, the chart could have included the year 2018-19. Then High Point would have been minus 1.8 mil, or minus 11.2%, and Sussex Wantage would be plus 106,000, or plus 0.71%. I do not have the tax levy information for Frankfurt or Lafayette. Chart 2 is again the tax levy for High Point, Kittatinny, Vernon, Sussex County Code. Again, interesting information, but a total apples-oranges comparison. High Point is 9 to 12, Kittatinny is 7 to 12, Vernon is K to 12, and Sussex Vocation, while also being 9 to 12, is a vocational school. By including Vernon, the scale of the chart became ridiculous. Again, one of the tricks I learned when I did charts. For Sussex Voc, I have added the tax levies from sheet 20B of the Sussex County budgets. The chart failed to show that the school year, and I don't know the year, Sussex Voc started charging the students' home school districts tuition for each student enrolled at Sussex Voc. Therefore, as taxpayers, we're forced to pay additional taxes to High Point so that High Point can pay tuition to Sussex Voc. I do not have the tax levy information for Kittatinny and Vernon. Chart 3, which is almost pure red, is student enrollment for 2012-2018. Even though I this chart is again apples, oranges. It's an extremely interesting chart. 2, I've added actual student enrollments as provided on the New Jersey Department of Education's SFRA allocation of equalization valuation tables onto the chart. I obtained the numbers from Frankfurt by adding together the DOE's numbers for Branchville and Frankfurt. Based on the DOE student enrollment numbers, all 4 districts have been seen a reduction in student enrollments from minus 6.9% to minus 24.45%. What does this mean? Since all 3 of the elementary school sending districts are seeing a reduction in their student enrollment, High Point will probably continue to see a reduction in its student enrollment for at least the next several years. You're not done, folks. It's going down. But now, this is where it starts to get extremely interesting. Have you ever heard of the old saying, figures don't lie, but liars figure? Why for High Point school year 2015-16 does 940 students fall on the line for 1,000 students? Why for High Point school year 2016-17 does 873 students fall on the line for 925 students? Why for High Point school year 2017-18 does 848 students fall on the line for 900 students? Apparently in this chart, at least for High Point, the tuition paying students have been adding into the student enrollments. But back on tax levy chart number 1, the tuition received by High Point was not added in. If the tuition received by High Point was added to tax levy chart 1, High Point reduction would have been minus 674,000 or minus 4.1%, not minus 1,699,000 or minus 11%. You can't have it both ways. Either all the charts have to be based only on tax-paying students from the 3 sending districts, or the charts have to include the tuition-paying students and thus their tuition. By apparently using 2 different systems on these charts, the data contained in these charts apparently became fraudulent. Chart 4, student enrollment 2012-18 for High Point, Kittatinny, Verdon, Sussex, Bow. Again, interesting information, but total apples, oranges comparison. High Point is 9 to 12, Kittatinny 7 to 12, Vernon K to 12, Sussex Bow again is a vocational school. Again, by including Vernon, the scale of the chart becomes ridiculous. The chart doesn't say, but I am assuming the chart includes tuition-paying students. Chart 5, superintendent salary. Somebody's sitting here. I've never seen a chart where the title was left incomplete. Again, the total apples, oranges comparison. Not having a color-coded copy of the chart is totally impossible to determine which line is supposed to be for which school district. Based on Mr. Ripley's 3 contracts, I couldn't find any line that corresponds to Mr. Ripley's salary. Other than being totally worthless, I guess it's a great chart. Summation. We know that the board meeting on 19 February, board member Wayne Dunn presented these charts to the board and to us, the resident taxpayers of High Point District. But we do not know who actually developed these charts or who authorized these charts to be presented to the residents taxpayers of High Point District. Request. I am requesting this board provide me copies of the forms that I need to file ethics complaints against a board member and to file ethics complaints against 1 or more employees of this board. My opinion. Anyone associated with the High Point Regional Board of Education or who is employed by High Point Regional who in any way participated in the development of these charts and or presentation of these charts to the residents and taxpayers of High Point District owes a sincere apology to the residents and taxpayers of High Point District and should immediately and unconditionally resign. Thank you.
Sharon Wanich. Mrs. Anderson may be in the hot seat right now, but she isn't the only one who needs to be held accountable. For 4 years, you had a board attorney, along with Dr. Ripley and Mr. Veely, sitting up here, all the while that Mrs. Anderson was voting to award Dr. Ripley pay raises and bonuses. Last month, we heard Mr. Veely go off on another board member and even cited a state statute by number while doing so. But somehow, we're supposed to believe that none of you knew an ethics violation for Mrs. Anderson, an ethics violation Mrs. Anderson was making by voting repeatedly granting pay raises for her former colleague and her daughter's boss. This incompetency has a real price because all of you left Mrs. Anderson open for a possible ethics complaint, which could end up costing this board even more money on top of all the cuts. So I hope that you budget extra money for the legal expenses in next year's budget. Mrs. Anderson, your answers of you didn't know and at least you didn't have the deciding a vote are unacceptable answers. This doesn't excuse you. You were sent to training. What were you doing instead of attending classes? Maybe it's time you follow the lead of Mr. Veely for one last time and resign. Thank you.
Good evening, Ken Nelson, Wantage. I'll be brief. I believe you all got a copy of some correspondence that I referred to you, and I'll be happy to discuss any of those items should you want to do that in the future. The only item that I want to emphasize that I included on that list is something that's been talked about for a decade probably now throughout the state as well as in Sussex County, and that's consolidation of school districts and municipalities. We have a major problem in this state in terms of affording how we govern ourselves, and I would encourage this board to take the lead in investigating the pros and cons, because I'm not absolutely sure that consolidating the High Point district with the 3 sending districts is going to save the money that I anticipate that it will. But an investigation, a study needs to be done in connection with that, and it's only this board, I believe, that can take the lead in making that happen. But I'm not suggesting that this should be a board-controlled effort, because it needs to involve the grassroots as well as the other sending districts. But I would urge this board to begin the process. Thank you.
Very quick. Jeff Colarusso again, 341 New Road, Montague. As I was sitting here during the meeting tonight and listening to Mr. Talame and Mr. Campbell highlight some of the great things that High Point students have been doing, first of all, it was more than a little embarrassing that we were listening to them tell us the good things that DECA is doing, Pass It Along is doing, and what your jazz band is doing when we're here discussing those programs being cut or reduced. It's an embarrassment. And I felt very uncomfortable sitting here watching that. And just for the record, I would like you to know I was at the Teen Arts Festival today with my own band students from my school, and your jazz band ensemble is hands down probably the best, if not one of the best in the county. So kudos to you. Great job.
we have one more.
Hi, my name is Maddie Muller. I'm 166 Days Required Road, Lafayette. On behalf of the seniors here at High Point, I am here to discuss the staffing changes that High Point is perceived to be going through for the next school year. I understand that budget cuts are hard for everyone, including the Board of Education. However, we firmly believe that the most important factor of a student's education is their teachers. Students at High Point agree that the quality of a student's education is the main priority of any school setting, as it should be. Reducing the great number of teachers at High Point will have a negative impact on our school community. We have an appreciation for all of our teachers at High Point, but we're the ones that work incredibly hard, day and night, making plans for classes, planning trips for all of us to go on, to enhance our education every day. A student's academic achievement is fueled by their teacher. Why take away a role model, an academic influencer, someone who will change a student's life forever? We firmly believe that reducing the number of our incredible teachers, the ones we look up to as the ones that we hope to follow in their footsteps, to follow as citizens in our society and community. This is about our school, our students, our teachers, the ones we love and appreciate and look up to. We believe that they are the most important ones to keep in our school, to keep the school as successful as it has been the past few years. Thank you.
I need the exercise today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming. The last item is non-committee board member reports or comments. Seeing none?
No, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to, I just want to make a couple quick comments. Obviously, there was dissension about some data that was presented. Mr. Gettler, I too am an engineer. I have a 4-year degree from New Jersey Institute of Technology in engineering, and I also have an MBA on top of that. They mean nothing really, because I didn't need either of those to prepare any of that data that I presented. The only thing that I really needed was something that I learned here, which was make sure you cite your sources. All of the graphs had my sources cited, and the data came directly from the New Jersey Department of Education. Their user-friendly, plain language budgets, and the Taxpayer's Guide to Education Spending. You can challenge the numbers. They're not my numbers. I just took directly from the website that was there for different years and presented that. I prepared that data myself. It was not provided for me, and I realized that I went out on a limb by doing that. I did it because I feel my community deserves to have some information given to them. You can dispute it. I don't take it personally, but it was data that was pulled from the website that is available to anyone out there. I was offered the opportunity to have that data confirmed by Mr. Kehoe. I haven't heard back yet that he had been able to confirm any of that, but I do know that some of the rest of the data were confirmed independently by other people that I won't name. So I appreciate your comments. I will look at your reviews, but I just wanted to make sure that there was no indication or insinuation that those numbers were provided to me. I prepared them. Again, I don't get paid for this. I did it in my own time because I felt it's necessary to present something to my community so that they feel they've got some information that's not normally given to you. That's it.
Mr. Gettler, it's getting late if you don't mind. Real quick.
When you make a series of charts, you have to confirm your data that you're using the same basis. When he used 2 different bases in his charts, that's fraud.
Why don't work 7 days? We don't need an MBA to count 7 days. It starts from day to day. Everybody can ask that. It's a crime.
I've responded in set business days to all requests
That information was Mr. Dunn's information that the board did not have.
Oh, come on.
We don't have a copy of this chart.
It's on the website. It's on the website.
Would you respond to Milton?
Please, let's wrap up. It's been a long night for everybody. We'll look into it, I
Not
assure
that
you.
long yet. Not that long yet.
Other business? Do we have any other business? Seeing none other business, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed, none. Thank you for coming tonight.